We're going through a very transformational time. Artificial intelligence is here. So we're joined by Martin, who's the co-founder of ClickBuy, and we're going to be talking about what this next potentially 1,000 days looks like from the agentic age. Because we were just having this conversation, Martin, just before here, and 6 months ago when we was in person, we was talking about where the technology is at that time in September 2024. We're now February 2025, and it seems like it's evolved so quickly. So it's going to be amazing to have this conversation with you, Martin.
Yeah, thank you. If you take a couple of analogies. So one thing I think I put as a post, I think a couple of months ago, Kev, I said to you, extraordinary is only extraordinary until it's ordinary. And it's that paradigm shift. If you think, if any of you, if you go onto YouTube or you watch TV, if you look at how quickly AI is evolving and how you've become now, I mean, most people are commonplace. They use ChatGPT, to do tools. So that's the first thing to look at. And then secondly, if you just think about just the constant evolution of new innovative things that are coming and free, the ability to move your business forward through AI, even just for literally no money, is an exceptional opportunity to you.
Yeah, it's wild. And I was thinking about from a macro scale, we've gone through 100 years or so ago. We were talking sort of in industrial revolution. Then it was the born of the internet, sort of early 90s or so, and then it was like the information age. And most definitely, where we are transitioning at this moment in time into the agentic age, and the world as we know it will be impacted. It already is. I mean, every app pretty much, or your laptop, your phone, has some form of AI within it. So it's in everyday life already. It might just not be in the forefront of what people are actually, they might not even realize that they're using AI at this moment in time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if some of you are unfortunately as old as me, you'll realise that in the mid 90s we had the internet boom, and that came along. Then we came along, as you said, you had the social media boom. So obviously you had another extraction. Yes, now we're talking about this agentic age, but how experts are now classifying it, they're classifying it more as an intelligence age. So if you think about the conceptual way that AI has moved, and it's mad how fast you think it's been. Back in say middle of last year when we met Kev in person. We talked about building out some LLM, chatbots and some AI agents to try and help, but very quite basic tools. And we've gone from that to, in late November we had O1, then we had O2, O3, we've had DeepSeek. And I don't know if you literally look on the news or you go onto YouTube, if you literally go each week, you'll see there's another amazing thing. I mean, I saw an amazing figure of someone's wife had cancer, and they literally on O1, not on O1, on the new O3 model, on the reasoning model, they literally put it in and said, here is all of their conditions, here is their genetic structure, and the AI spent 2.5 hours considering it and reasoning through a model to come up with the most perfect way to try and support and help that person. And just that kind of ability, if you have an expert physically that, and not just somebody who regurgitates what's on the internet, which is what you had potentially 12 months ago, something that can actually now give you reasoning intelligence, and then not only give you a thoughtful answer, but then actually, as you said, an agentic tool that can go and do that work. So if you think about e-commerce as a journey, we started with models that you could ask it a question and it would go find you a product, or it would find you an answer. Then we've come to agents in which you could do some basic tools. It could check your emails, it can go do some instructions. But we're rapidly getting to this, what is called recursive learning, where we'll get to this point of intelligence where it only has knowledge and the tools, but actually it can apply it dynamically. And then, as you said, a living agentic model, which is what we're trying to build, our AEP, to try and truly give people that freedom, and that structure to support their AI business.
Yeah, because this technology has and it is impacting all industries. We happen to be obviously in the e-commerce industry, but when you think of, you just mentioned health, you think of all the different industries that there may be, whether it is health, whether it's the financial industry, whether it is the property and industry, whether it is the farming industry, it doesn't matter. This technology is going to impact all industries. We are just obviously very focused in on from an e-commerce perspective. So, for those that are going to be watching, this is a very, very interesting time because we're in this time where we've got these major marketplaces, whether that is, the originals like the Amazons, the eBays. We have more recent marketplaces, whether it is like the TikTok shops, and people are now looking at Walmarts, or whether it's even Vinted or building their own store and everything out. So all these, all these big marketplaces, they're trying to really adjust in a new world, introduce this kind of technology. And we, from a seller perspective, a business perspective, we need to find the right path as well. So just to be perfectly clear, for those that are watching, Martin, what is the definition when we say artificial agentic e-commerce platform, AEP? What is it specifically? What that actually means?
So, an agent is an AI function that can take some learning, can take some guide rails, some rules, and can apply some tools. A tool being, utilizing a piece of software, utilizing some code, and to go and undertake that work. That's what an agent is. But an agent in that fashion is what we call it a structured agent, which is what we've got mainly in our platform at the moment, which are rules-based agents that follow very, very structured guide rails. So think of like a train. It's going down a track and it's following. And if the track has a split, it's going to go left or it's going to go right. But it can't go in a different direction. But when we move to what we call an agent, we call it an agentic living agent. So it's the idea that actually it evolves from that process to where you set it a problem, and then it then thinks about that problem and then builds the agents that it requires, and then goes and then undertakes that task for you. And if you look at something like, for example, DeepSeek, or if you look at the latest versions of OpenAI's systems, or even any of these main tools, they have a little button on there, if you've seen it, called Reason. Have you ever used
Yes, yeah,
it?
seen it.
And what you'll notice is if you ask it a normal question, I don't know, even a simple thing like, what's the capital of France? Okay, if you just ask the question, it will come back instantly with an answer because it's gone back to its learning, and it comes back to you with what it's learned the answer is. Once you then click on the reason model, what it then does is it actually goes away, it thinks about the problem like a human would, thinks about its application, and then gives you an answer. And it's that reasoning or recursive learning, which is where we're starting to evolve to, which is why things are moving so fast.
Yeah, and that is the it's on one hand, and there's two sides to this. It's extremely kind of exciting what the future holds with that capability. Obviously, there's the other side from okay, what are the risks and what could be if it went on to the negative side. But let's talk from a positive perspective initially. Um, you know, the reality is like me and you and us that are kind of here together having this conversation with one another, we've got our own ability to think, right? We have a potential goal, and there is many different potential strategies on how you can achieve that goal. So very simply, let's say we got in our car and we wanted to go to a specific destination. There is there's a lot of ways, there's an infinite amount of ways that we could go. We could go, we could turn left, we can turn right, we could go completely the wrong way, turn around and then go. There's an infinite amount of ways that we could get to that destination. But we have the ability, in terms of human beings, to really think things through and try to come up with the most optimum way of getting to where we want to be. Now, from a human perspective, that obviously does take a little bit of time. So that's why we use technology like a Google Maps now, where it'll tell you the fastest way. You don't have to think it through. And it was before my time, Martin, but I was talking to Kylie's mum the other month, whereas they were saying they remember having to stop at the side of the road to pull their map out. Do you know the
Yeah.
AA maps? Do you remember
Yeah.
them? And think about where are we right now? And okay, we've got to go this way. Obviously, times have changed now. The reason why I say all this is because AI is the first true ability to actually reason and think things through. So when we talk about the e-commerce industry, when we think about specifically our businesses, whether that is an online arbitrage business, a wholesale business, whether that is you trying to build your own brand, whatever the case might be, having a technology like AI that can truly think things through, it's literally like having a second brain or multiple brains within your business that can really um, strategize, implement, and then ultimately move you closer towards your goals. And it can do it so much quicker. Does that make
100%.
sense?
But if you also think of your analogy that you just gave, that as a human you think through a process. What's truly insane with AI is that if you think about your e-commerce, so you've got a task. You think, I want to make 10% return on my business. Okay, how am I going to do that? And you'll think through logically what you think the best path is. But what AI does is it looks at all the paths simultaneously. So it does something called simulation. So it will literally sit in the background and it will simulate. So, coding is a great example. E-commerce is a bit more, it's got so many variables, it's quite more difficult to achieve. But if we left it with coding to keep it simple, you want to build a simple Space Invaders game, okay? And you might think about writing it one way. What it will do is it will write it a million ways, and then it will work out which one, as it goes through, which one is a better iteration of that process to eventually it gives you that end result. So when we think about reasoning, it's not just regurgitating the information it's got and then thinking about the best path. It's trying to simulate multiple paths to give you that answer. And if you also think about fundamentally, if you're in your business, you've really got three levers in any business that you can pull to be successful. Okay, so you've got capital. So you could put more capital into your business, whether that's investment in assets or buildings or just buying more things. You've got you've got experience. So as you get better, you can either buy experience in from other people to make your business more knowledgeable, or over time you'll learn that yourself and get wiser and better. Or in the middle, then you've then got time. So you can obviously just employ more people, or you can put more time into your business. But if you think about AI, it sort of breaks the rules on all those three levers. I mean, the one lever it can't break is capital. It can't invent money, unless you're Donald Trump and you decide to invent a new Bitcoin. But real money, obviously, it can't do that. But it absolutely can do the experience, because obviously, as you said, it's got reasoning and knowledge. And I think someone said it's. I think I mean, Sam Altman came out, the guy from the CEO from OpenAI, and I think he said something like that at the moment his AI system is the 75th best programmer in the world, and he's hoping in the next 3 months he'll be at one. And it's that kind of ability. I mean, even in your business, my business, Kevin, I mean, could we afford to buy the absolute best person who's a CEO for e-commerce? Could we afford to buy the best person who's a pro? You couldn't. And so how insane is it that you can get it for free from a tool they just give you? So the key thing that AI is driving that everybody needs to understand is there's a concept called democratization. Okay, and it's the idea that what AI actually truly gives everybody, okay, is an equal playing field. Okay, so the ability that information through open sourced AI systems that don't charge will be available to everybody in the world, and that then basically gives everybody an equal fighting chance, to make something from it. As well as obviously on the other side, you've got to think that AI is driving costs down. So, if, for example, like in our world, we talk about our AEP, there are other bits of software out there. There's other, external services, people that you can hire to do stuff. AI basically reduces those costs exponentially every single month coming down. And that way, then the only way really to truly to protect your business, is really to try and support and work forward with AI rather than try and fight against it, thinking that it won't impact your business.
Absolutely. So we're heading towards one of the outcomes is is abundance, right? Total abundance of opportunity, of support, being able to do, start a business, right? That you can compete with somebody who's maybe been going for 10 years and has got a lot of capital, where they have the resources to, to, like you mentioned, whether it's hire teams or buildings or whatever the case might be. But for somebody then to be at home and have that kind of power to be able to use AI agents, is going to be revolutionary. And that's why this whole agentic e-commerce platform, what we're attempting to tackle and we're working towards from a ClickBuy perspective. And by the way, if you're watching this in real time, you can click down below and just create a free account with ClickBuy, so you can actually use and be introduced to AI yourself, completely free for right at this moment in time. Um, that is an incredible kind of tool when we think, uh, having an AI agent in your a part of your team. So from an arbitrage perspective, if you think about it, it's there's no comparison to like hiring the strategies of yesterday, whether that is lists, whether that is virtual assistants. They that is very inefficient compared to an AI system. Does that make sense, Martin?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, also we get this point of anchoring that we talk about in our business, Kev, where we're constantly talking about, oh, we've got another 5 million data points coming in, we've got another 2 million here, and when you think of those numbers, it's insane. If you think, I mean, when I first met you, probably 4 or 5 years ago, we talked about having, virtual assistants, and if they gave you 100 leads a day, that was really good, and you could do something with that. We don't talk in hundreds of thousands. We now talk about millions. And unless I'm talking to you about millions, it's like it's not really rocking the boat. So there is really a paradigm shift in terms of your ability to unlock information, and more importantly, not just get loads of information, because you had that before with the internet, but being able to interpret the information using agents to really exponentially grow your business, whether you're in e-commerce or any type of business, to get an edge.
Exactly, and therefore, any information that's kind of in the public domain, whether that is online arbitrage stores, online e-commerce sites, whether that is wholesalers, their names, whether it's trade shows, whatever the case might be, whatever's online public, essentially means that AI will have the ability to find it, to seek it out, to be able to look at what opportunity presents itself there. So I do believe, over this next kind of 1,000 days, the next 1, 2 to kind of 3 years, what's going to happen from a kind of a general online arbitrage. I'm just going to go onto this store and have a look what clearance there is, or whether it's just from a general wholesale, I'm just going to take a look at this stock list. All those types of models will become, when AI is supportive, as it is now from what we're working and developing in ClickBuy, that's just going to become accessible to anybody that uses that tool.
100%. So
The
if you think about when you started, Kev, in 2015, when you started your e-commerce business, you at that point you were still using the internet, but lots of people are going out to shops. They're using a barcode scanner and they're scanning stuff. Okay, and then we went from that approach to then people now just looking on the internet to find things. Okay, but the thing that we're now trying to look at on our platform is that if you think about it logically, people like Google potentially might be out of business. Google might go out of business in the next 3 or 4 years as a search engine, because people won't need a search engine, because what you'll do is you'll have a personal agent in your phone or in your pocket or on your person maybe, and you'll be able to say, go find me those cheapest items. So one thing we're trying to build out with our AEP is we're trying to integrate directly to these LLMs, to these agent models, so that all of our information is open sourced and they can read it dynamically and then be able to pick up on it. Because all these agents at the moment, they spent billions of pounds building them, because they've literally had to sit there and scrape the internet, which is insane if you think, looking at every single page of every single thing and reading it. But obviously, as they've gone forward, they're now getting into this new phase. So you really need to start thinking as you move forward, not about even just using AI to do what you traditionally do. So, going onto Amazon, checking a page, checking an ASIN. You need to think about dynamically, how can you do that at scale, doing 100,000, a million items, so that fundamentally you can find more opportunities faster, better, cheaper, to really start to accelerate your business.
100%. And therefore, when we're on the kind of the other side to this, where we've got an operating, a living agentic platform, an AEP, we're going to live in a world where the abundance is going to be, it's going to be mind-blowing to the scale. Because when you think about it, right now we're just talking maybe from a UK marketplace, right? But when then, let's say the US is unlocked, or then we go into Europe and across the different countries, and then you think on a global scale, you're now potentially going to be, when we're really at the other end of this, we could quite literally have 1 billion, is, it sounds maybe ridiculous, but when you think of the products in for sale in Australia, in India, in the Middle East, when you think of South America, North America, across the entire world, there's so much abundance of arbitrage opportunity, whether that is online arbitrage, retailer to resell, whether that's wholesaler. There's I don't think we really. I sometimes ponder this, Martin, when I'm doing my deep thinking, like what the scale of this is on a global scale.
Yeah, and the one thing that AI can give you in any business is leverage and scale. So, where before, if you had a team of people reviewing stuff, if you gave them, I don't know, 50,000 pages to look at, there's a limit of what they can do. There is no limit in terms of being able to that leverage. But back to your point on abundance, because I think it's really important with this 1,000-day concept coming up. If you think about the process, things are going to get infinitely cheaper. Everything will get cheaper, which is fantastic. And then they're talking about improvements in health, in terms of mental health, new drugs. I mean, something unbelievable that I saw on the internet. I think was it a week ago in China. They've now had the first stable nuclear fission, or was it fusion? Which the one where are replicating the sun, and they've had it stable now for 18 minutes using AI. So it's there sitting. So we are very close to the point of having free energy. And when free energy comes along, lots of costs come down. So all those things, they're all the positive things on the positive side of the counter. On
Hmm.
the negative side of the counter for that 1,000 days is that what you've got to think about is that lots of CEOs out there. I think my latest stat, I think I saw from Deloitte's was that something like 90 something percent of CEOs are already utilizing AI in their business. So they're looking to see how they can utilize it. And that utilization is going to come in three ways. The first way, and the first wave we've already got, which is how can we assist existing workers to be more productive? And then we're going to get into the second wave, okay, of well, when this person leaves that job, do we need to replace that person, or can we now use AI to replace that function? And then functionally, thirdly, we'll get to the point of having, a zero human structure where literally you sit as the CEO and the agents basically run that process for you. Particularly if you think about the US and the UK, you know, manufacturing is not really our main output. We're mainly sort of information workers. We provide services. And therefore, in this 1,000 days, that potential that potential relationship we've had since the Industrial Revolution of you work for labor and time and you earn money, and that's what picks you up. And maybe you've got an e-commerce business as a side hustle, as a process. That's good, but in 1,000 days that will break. And what you need to start thinking about is how can you build your business up now to build capital so that you can utilize AI. And if the worst came to the worst and your job got replaced, or as you said, as abundance comes in and everything gets cheaper, maybe maybe what you could earn from that job comes down because there's more automation. How do you protect yourself from that process?
Yeah, and it's a really, really important conversation for all of us. I'll give you an example. Going back maybe 7, 8 years ago or so, um, I, for example, hired a number of a member of our team, an assistant of ours, used to write blog posts and essentially write articles for our website. Now, obviously, that's just not needed anymore. I'll give you a very, very simple example. Like nowadays, because of tools, number one, you can transcribe a video. So what we're talking about here now, AI can just transcribe that. That's just easy, right? Transcribe it very, very quickly. But then when you've got these like a chat GPT and you can custom build these, especially if it's in your voice, you can then, I did this the other day. I transcribed a video of mine, which was like an hour video. It did it within literally seconds, right? Transcribed it all. Then I asked it to rewrite it as a blog post format, which it did that again within about 30 seconds. So immediately, within about a minute, I've got a full 60-minute video that's been transcribed and then rewritten in a blog post that is now published out on the internet. That's all. But in years gone by, 7 years ago, that would literally you maybe take a day, right? A day for somebody to listen, to watch the video, transcribe it all, and then rewrite it into a blog post. Does that make sense, Martin? It's
Yeah.
mind blowing how productive you can become.
And if you think about what you now do with those tools, if you put yourself back in a time machine a year, 18 months ago, you would have thought that was amazing. And now
Yeah.
and this is just the norm now.
Just the norm, just the norm. So yeah, it's something that we've really got to, and that's why we've got so much urgency. That's why, we are building this into a it's a new world. So we are, as a society, we're going into the unknown, as in, there's a lot of people that will say, oh, what we're going to be like in maybe 1,000 days, 2030, but nobody's actually been there yet, right? So we don't truly know where we will be. So we are very much like a society of pioneering into the unknown. Um, so that's why this AEP, what we've been doing with ClickBuy, has been, in my opinion, very important. And for those that are watching this, that are a part of the journey with us, and you are, interacting with us, and you're in the community, in the group, on our calls, we very much appreciate it because we are collectively, as a network, going on this journey and this voyage together. And that's what's really exciting.
100%. And whether you're on this call and watching this call because you want to use AI to give yourself an edge in your business and to give an improvement, which is a fantastic way of doing it, or you're on the other side of the fence where you're thinking I could be at risk of my job. I need to find another way of getting a secondary income. On both those points, we're here to support you on our process. And we have a concept, I think, Kev, we say that what's the exact words we use? We say that once you see it, it's hard to unsee it. And which is one of the things we try and look at with our AEP. Once you see that AI is going to truly transform absolutely everything in the world, and we have this abundance, and with this democratization, with costs rapidly coming down, okay, how do you protect yourself? And ultimately, the long-term answer, I think they're talking. I mean, governments aren't talking about it yet, but they're talking about. You've heard of a concept called UBI,
No,
universal,
well, if you expand on that.
universal basic income. So
Ah,
the
yes.
so the ability, I mean, they tested it in Canada, I think, for a couple of years. But the idea of giving everybody just like a living wage, something to exist on. But again, human beings want purpose. You want to be able to do something, and just existing, isn't really an answer of achieving something. So one thing we have as a belief structure is that we want to build capital for you. We want to give you that protection so that not only are you using AI to thrive, with your family and your process, but also, you're protecting yourself from that function.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's been a good conversation. It's going to be very interesting. Like, 6 months ago, it was actually 5 months ago in September. So we're talking that was only what 170 days ago or so, and so much has changed in literally 170 days. And now we're talking, what the world would be like in a kind of 1,000 days. It's going to be. It's going to be fascinating on what actually happens. But if you want to be a part of the journey, there's a couple of things you can do. Number one, you can join us inside ClickBuy. You can create yourself an account right now. Once you're in the platform, you'll be able to join our community. In that community, we talk all things AI, where myself and Martin are there on calls on a weekly basis where we're talking. Or you can hit the subscribe button if you are watching this on like YouTube. You can hit the subscribe button. We're going to keep sharing what thoughts are, what's happening, and would love for you to join the conversation down below. So let us know your comments on this conversation that we've had. So is there anything final that you wanted to touch on today, Martin, or has that been a very it's been a very thought-provoking conversation for sure?
Yeah, what I'd like to do for our next call, Kev, if you don't mind, is let's set ourselves a little challenge. Let's set ourselves, what do we think the world's going to look like in the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months? And then we can come back and touch it because as you said, 6 months ago, I don't think we would have said we are where we are now with recursive learning and that approach. And I think because obviously these AI companies are fighting against each other to try and get there as quickly as possible, the acceleration is going to be quicker. So it'd be really good to try and see where you think the e-commerce business will be in 3, 6 months, and then myself, and then let's go touch back again where we are with that at those points in time.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting. I know for me operator or just the ability of an operator is, I mean, it's truly kind of mind blowing to think that we could be in a conversation like this because no matter what happens in the kind of the future, people are still going to want to talk to each other, right? Whether we're in the real world or whether we're in the meta world, of course, but we're still going to want to have some type of connection because, as you mentioned, people do need purpose. They need, some reason for being. But think about it. One day we could be having this conversation in a good group like we are doing online or in person, and as we sit and talk, we could have literally operators working across our business right now, like taking action, scheduling, making appointments, sending out emails, reservations, operating our business, making adjustments. And so when you really think it through, what can happen in the next kind of 3, 6, 12 months? Well, that's going to be a great conversation for next week, Martin.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, Kev. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. And thank you everybody for joining.
Amazing. Right, guys, speak to you soon. Let us know in the comments, hit the subscribe button, and we look forward to speaking to you next time.
Thank
Bye.
you.